I'm Praveen Penmetsa. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Monarch Tractor. A number of you are our customers, a number of you are aware of us, and again, it always feels like I'm coming back home here. My first journey to this auditorium was 7 years ago when we started Monarch. Yeah. So, and the reason I'm here is to share some of the journey and the lessons over the last mostly 3 years since we started putting our technology into your hands. And if you're hoping to figure out how to build smart autonomous tractors, you're going to be disappointed in terms of engineering them. I'm here to share what made some of our customers have more success than others, right? Number one. And trust me, we're also learning along the way. If I had known some of these lessons 3 or 4 years ago, we would have done things differently. So if you're a technology and innovator, there's still go-to-market lessons here. There's still hopefully some nuggets that are of some value. Very often I get this question when we start talking about smart autonomous farm solutions is why Napa, why vineyards, why here? And I remember the first conversation when I walked onto a vineyard in Napa to talk to a grower, and he said, Praveen, we are the most demanding customers you'll ever find. And at the end of the day, we don't buy that many tractors, so why are you here, right? It's going to be a challenging journey. And the reason we were here, and I still believe in it, and that's the reason why we are here every year, through every growing season, working on multiple operations, is the challenges that we face in Napa are the same challenges that farmers face around the world. Yes, this is a very challenging environment, challenging customers, demanding customers, high quality. But if we can succeed here, we can really change the minds and hearts of people around the world, right? That's one of the reasons why we're in Napa. The problems that all of us have, whether it's labor shortages, whether it's the complexity of the terrain, not something that you would find on a corn farm in the Midwest, or whether it's uniquely California-related, regulations and compliance costs. All of you know how much you spend on paperwork, right? Those are the kind of challenges that are very unique here, and the rest of the world is also going to face them very soon. So we felt like if we can solve this here, we can really take these lessons everywhere else. And so far, that's been true, by the way. The proof is in the pudding. The fact that the same tractor that we sold to Napa Sonoma vineyards 3 years ago, we are now selling in dairy farms in Central California. That same tractor is on 4 continents. That same tractor is doing a variety of operations. And all of that has been made possible by the support that we have gotten from Napa Sonoma, right? From a number of our customers here. The lessons that we have learned are being applied. So each one of you are touching the world and the world of farming in different ways. A good quotation here. Before I walked in here, like I do every day, I wake up to an email that shows up showing the hours of operations on our vineyards and our dairy farms and all of our customers and who's the top usage. The top usage so far has been like Bextroffer. Kudos to them. We'll share some of the lessons of what's made them successful. They're currently already at high hundreds of hours, 1,300 hours in total on our machine so far. 1,300 hours, right? So, and our impact is not just measured in dollars and cents. It's also measured in how many gallons of diesel we've helped you save. It's measured in emissions offset, which more and more is going to provide future value for you. Maybe not today, but future you will get actual checks in the mail for that emissions offset. And huge numbers on our side if you think about what that number looks like. Just on the vineyard side again, 67,000 hours of operation. This is not an easy problem. And a number of you are very forward-thinking technologists. It's taken Waymo 15 years to activate 5 cities, right? And the first city only happened a year and a half ago. So these are very tough problems, and it takes a little bit of time, and the time element is measured in hours, but we're making great headway here. 67,000 hours of operations has allowed us to really get better month on month, year on year. On top of that, fuel savings alone is a huge number. It's not front and center for most of us these days. Fuel prices are not coming down. They're definitely going up with all the global issues. It'll continue to go up. Fuel prices will never go back to $2, $3, right? So it is going to be a significant portion of our operational expenses. So the fact that we have, as a company, just in vineyards, and when I say vineyards, I'm talking primarily about Napa Sonoma, where our tractors are, we have saved the community here $1.4 million. It's a big number. Things that we don't often talk about, things that some of you might not be tracking on a monthly basis, but it's still an important number when we think about what the total cost of the solution is. The challenge we also have is, we're one of the first companies to enter this market from a smart, autonomous, electric tractor technology, right? And some of the lessons that we want to be very upfront about and candid about is, if somebody is coming by and telling you that robotics in ag is plug and play, you can hit a button and you'll be able to automate your farm or even a block, right? That's not the case today. That's not even the case for autonomy, for Waymo, for cities, right? Forget farming. So it's going to be a deployment journey. It's going to take a concerted effort between the growers, between the equipment manufacturers, between technology companies like us to make that happen. And most importantly, the operating domain. What I mean by that is how your farm is laid out, how you do your operations. All of that, sometimes you only learn once you're on your farm, because your farm is your farm. And it's very different to your neighbor's farm. Right? There's a huge amount of difference between how each one of us does things in farming, and that is often underappreciated until you end up on the field, and then you find out the exact attachments, operations, etc. The second one is the expectations versus reality, I think, is a reality check that I wake up to every day. A number of customers are living it. There are some actual issues that cannot be resolved by just us in this room. Rural connectivity is still terrible, right? At a lot of our farms, we still don't get cell signals, we still don't get data, right, etc. There's a reason why Starlink is growing fast. There's a reason why even large tractor companies are signing deals with Starlinks, etc., right? Because connectivity is an ongoing problem. Infrastructure is a problem. Again, these are areas that the federal government should really own up to and invest into infrastructure, which is connectivity, electric infrastructure, digital infrastructures need to come from there. But those are all issues that we deal with. The software side, again, is not very fault tolerant, right? So one of the things that we have had to learn is how do we tweak our software multiple times once we're on your sites. Real world conditions are very different, like I said, from farm to farm to farm. And until and unless we get to thousands of farms, I cannot honestly stand here and say, I've never been to your farm, but guess what? Once you take this over there, it'll work, right? It's not going to happen. So that's why getting to that thousands is important. Getting to 5, 10 is quite easy, right? 5 college students can get together and deploy technology in 5s and 10s. We did it, right? 7 years ago. The moment you're at thousands, service support, what does your supply chain look like? What do your monthly tariffs look like? How much should we charge for parts? How do we service a tractor that's in the middle of nowhere? All of those things becomes issues. And software especially can cause challenges too, right? So real world conditions are very important. So the reason I share this is both from a technology provider, but also from a farm standpoint, the easy way for the vineyard owners to accelerate the deployment is how can we kind of constrain some of these things, right? How can we kind of make these things easier for the machines to come in and operate? It's a little bit like laying out a factory floor, right? You lay it out with the idea that there will be a robot that will be going from A to B. Lastly, your feedback is very important. This is not an industry where everything is documented. There's no big data that I can... If I ask ChatGPT how one of you is doing your operation, I'll get a very wrong answer. Trust me if you've tried it, right? There's a reason why companies like Bayer, et cetera, are now building their own versions of large language models specifically for ag. They're trying to get as much data into their large language models so that they can build their version of farm GPTs, right? And by the way, they'll use that against us, but that's a different issue for a future, right? We'll fight it. But long story short, this is not documented. The only way we learn is by talking to you. Very often we do something, we come back and we think, oh, that was pretty good, right? And then we talk to you and then we find out what the gaps are. So that cycle is also super important. So again, having advocates on your farm to work with companies like Monarch, to work with the new technology, having designated people that do that is very, very important if you want to be an early technology adopter. If you just want to entrust it to your operations person, and I can tell you the difference between a successful customer on the Monarch side and not so successful, which means they haven't used our machine for a long time, is a designated person whose only job is to increase usage on the machine and take those learnings back, versus a normal operations person who's just trying to get their daily job done. That's like telling your accountant, do everything that you're doing and install this SAP ERP system, right, in the next month, and oh, by the way, it should work on day one. They've been around for 3 decades, and it's just software and accounting, and it still doesn't work. You have to get an installation team, you have to dedicate resources and say, for the next 3 months, we're going to document everything we do, and then we're going to work with this company and then make this happen. It's so much easier than what all of us live on a daily basis, right? So designating that person is a big takeaway. If you take just one thing away from this whole meeting on how to make the automation go faster on your farm, make sure that there's somebody whose job it is, and make sure that there's top-down support are the 2 things, right? Those are the 2 things that, for us, we can see it clearly in our customers because we measure the data, right? How many hours did this customer use? How many hours did this customer use? What's the difference? Very often it's those 2 things. So, and again, the more complex the system, the challenges also increase, right? So full stack complexities are quite high. What I mean by that is if you're looking at deploying a machine that does everything, right, the challenges will also be on that scale. So do not expect anything less, right? Like I said, if I go back to my enterprise resource accounting system and say this thing is not only going to do accounting, but it's going to manage my inventory and then my logistics and also do my HR planning and everything else, each block that you add to it, more complexity by a factor of, it's an order of magnitude higher, not a multiplying, right? So what that means for us is the lesson that we learned the hard way, and I wish we had kind of not done that 3 or 4 years ago, is to kind of start piecemealing this and start attacking this, right, in very constrained fashions. So those are very important. But that being said, if you do it that way, you'll now end up with 150 different software solutions on your one single farm to do your day-to-day operations. So you still have to solve the problem of how do you bring all of that together, right? So that's where companies like us, we have been very open. We have always had a partnership approach. We have always said, use your own attachments, right? Do things your own way. It's up to us to learn, right? We'll use AI, et cetera, to make AI do things the way you want it to be done as much as possible. But at the same time, we should not come in there and change everything on your farm, right? What is that balance is important. We cannot do everything, right? We have not gotten into the attachments business. There are companies that have been there for decades and in some cases centuries that know some of the operations really well. So how do we work with them? So that OpenStack approach is also very important. And lastly, and this is the most important lesson, is, and this is not just about vineyard automation or farm automation, right? Automation in general, we are balancing cost, speed, quality all the time. So if you have a very high expectation of quality on your operation, you have to pay for it on the cost or the speed side, right? So the biggest challenge that we ran into as a company, being very candid, right, is if we try to meet the quality side of it, we go down on the speed side of it, right? And the moment we go down on the speed side of it, your operations person who's supposed to get the job done on a time basis is going to quit and try the old solution. So the only compromise here is can we find the right balance between quality and speed? Cost we have taken on, right? We totally understand that we cannot expect you to spend millions of dollars on a piece of equipment to do 1 job or 2 jobs, right? Not going to happen. We don't want to do that either because then we cannot scale, right? So we want to sell solutions to every farmer, so then that brings the whole cost of the technology down for all of us. But for that to happen, we need the right compromises to be found between cost and quality. I don't have an answer, but I'm planting a seed with all of you, right? Think about cost versus quality. And that for us is a big one. And again, how quickly can we come to market? How quickly can we do yours versus long-term scale is another balance. And ag from that standpoint is extremely hard. Again, this is not a challenge for you, but it's more of a challenge for all the innovators sitting in the audience, is farming takes a long time before they buy into the tech, before the adoption actually scales, right? Even things like auto-steer technologies, slam dunk today has 90% of the market, took 10 plus years before it was adopted, right? So these things take a while. So keep in mind as vineyard managers, vineyard owners, operations managers, etc., that on the other side of that equation, there's a tremendous pressure to scale as well. Because unless we scale, we can't get the cost down for you. And unless we scale, we really can't like solve some of your larger problems, right? So it's a little bit of that balance that all of us have to find, and that can only happen in partnerships. So again, our most successful customers have been customers who have been very upfront with us and said, hey, we can afford to spend this much amount of time. Let's work on this problem together, and let's do this together, right? Is the way that we have approached it. So there has to be a monetary commitment, there has to be a time commitment, and we have to work together on these things. And that's where the partnership plays, right? So the partnership play is how do we actively get engaged, and it's not just a tractor delivery, right? The machine is just the first step of it. Very often it's the beginning of the journey. And we ourselves did not actively spend enough time on that beginning part of the journey. We are now much better at it, right? Today, when a new customer gets our tractor, not only is there a training, there's a deployment. We tell them there's 2 weeks of stuff that we're going to walk you through, and by the way, we'll come back again 2 times. Those are all things that is not the old way of doing things, which is you just buy something and off you go, right? Turn it on, off you go. The new technology world is very different. All of us are starting to see that, but we should also recognize it. The other most important reason for me to be here is to, again, encourage all of you as leaders in this space. The fact that you're here means that you're a thought leader, you're trying to put some change into the system. The tone that you set for the organization is what is going to happen on the operational side. So we need more, early technology adopters. We need that mindset. We need that investment mindset that we are now investing by working with these companies. And that's true for us, right? And that consistent usage and accountability, right, is super important. And by the way, the biggest difference for Monarch happened in our first year. We had so many challenges, right? Our machines came off the machine. We gave them to our customers. Immediately we ran into problems. We got bogged down right on the beaches, right? The reason why is, and the only reason we were able to get out of it, was consistent accountability and usage. Every day we start looking at hours. Every day we said, hey, why is this customer not using our machine? Please call them, let's figure this out, right? But that mentality also has to be there on the growing side, especially in new days of technology. Otherwise, your operations people, your force, or your workforce will just flip back to the old way of doing things. So that's a big one. And the strategic priority has to be there. We all need to be working towards a common goal. So, and on that one, I think we see that, right? Everybody's built on that. The most, we also have talked a lot about leadership. We've talked a lot about strategy. We've talked a lot about mindset, etc. But at the end of the day, it's the operator that has to operate these technologies. And if they say, I don't want this, that's the end of the world, right? Everything stops. So we also have to get them engaged. We are also learning the train, retrain side of things. Some simple examples, right? Like one of the things that we did with some of our tractors in the dairy market, right, is we said, hey, the tractor is going to do these things autonomously. Keep an eye on it. If it sends you an alert, you need to react to it. The operator's like, I don't want to look at the phone, right? I'm like, wait, hang on, it's better than sitting on the tractor, right? You can do other things, but yes, you need to be looking at the phone because the safety guys want us to make sure that there's somebody looking at this thing, right? He's like, no, we don't want to look at the phone, right? I don't want to keep this app open all the time. I want to do other things on the phone. And again, it's not about, is the tech working? It's not about, is that value? It's not about all those things. It's about, at the end of the day, what does the operator want, right? And today we had to release a feature that's coming out next week that basically allows the farmer to basically lock the phone. There'll be remote monitoring on it, moving on, right? They said, hey, we want this app in Spanish. We built an app in Spanish, right? So there's a lot of these small things that we just have to do, right? We can't sit there and argue with the operators. At some point, we draw the line and say, let's fix it, right? We make the changes. And then real success is in measuring things and having clear metrics for success. If I were to ask a number of you that have gone out and done technology projects, what does a crawl, walk, run look like? What does a crawl success look like? Can we all agree that, getting to, one of our first customers, a successful one, told us, hey, this first year, I'm just expecting you guys to do 100 hours of work, right? I'll be surprised if you guys get to 100. Second year, I want you guys to get to 500. Third year, we need to get to this, right? And let's measure this and work on this together. So those are the kind of things that we need to all continue to do. And these things will take time. So sometimes along the way, we have to adjust. So we were hoping for full autonomy in vineyards. We realized that it's going to take some operational issues, safety issues. So what we decided to do was to package some of the solutions that we had and deploy them as, row follow, for example, is auto steer technology. John Deere charges around $3,500 for that, right? Requires, again, thousands of dollars of hardware on it, RTK GPS every month, a bunch of things, right? On our tractors, we deployed row follow to all of our existing customers. Just works on our cameras, keeps the tractor straight and narrow. You don't need to steer. You can focus on what's happening behind the tractor. Is it the end-all, be-all? No. Is it going to help in that journey? Yes. And those are the kind of things that also we value when we collaborate with our farm owners. The second thing that we learned is we put together a field team that does nothing but go around the whole country, and in some cases, outside the country. Right? So again, the whole idea there was troubleshooting and teaching how to do things, right? But also some ways that we can make this thing easier is on the farm side of things, how do we make sure that this training that we do is internalized, institutionalized, and retrained? Because today we will do it, tomorrow at some point people will start charging you for it just like they do for software. Oh, you want me to come back and do this again? You'll have to pay for it, right? So let's start working towards that world where this doesn't need to happen all the time. And last one is partnerships, right? This is a large world. We're not going to succeed by ourselves. Even the Waymos of the world are creating partnerships. Waymo signed a deal with Toyota, right? The reason is not just because they've realized that they can't do everything and they can't scale everything, right? And that's a company that has spent tens of billions of dollars, tens of billions. Farming is not going to get solved by 1, 2, 3 companies. It has to be partnerships, all of us working together. So we believe in that. And we're continuing to do that with partnerships, both here in Napa Sonoma as well as outside, right? We have a partnership with Kia and Scout on the technology side. They know better on the data that they get. That being said, one of the things that also makes us unique is it's very easy to build customized machines. We all have to be careful that if we build customized machines, it's hard for us to scale tomorrow. That's true for you in farming, right? If you have a customized attachment and you try to scale this around the world, right, you have a challenge. So our whole philosophy has always been very sophisticated software running on very commoditized hardware. So a lot of people ask us, you could have made your life easier by doing some of these, using certain different attachments, etc. But then we'll never get the cost down for you. It'll always be a very expensive proposition. The AI side we've touched upon, right? So unstructured environments, we all like to think our environments are structured, but they're not. They seem structured, so for the outside world, we all fall for that, oh, this seems like it's a fairly repeatable operation. In most cases, there is always that 10% that it's not. But that's something that we have gotten really good at. And how do we constantly improve our machine? If you look at our tractor has not fundamentally changed in the last 3 years. We have had one service campaign on it, but everything else has happened through software. And we will get there on the software side. The other one is modular extensible. You might want to have other software packages for your future. So with that in mind, how do we work with you to make sure that you want different solutions, right? In the early days, there was just one phone. Now we have a bunch of different apps, right? Even on ChatGPT, we have 5 different options. And lastly, do not underestimate the human in the loop. We did at the beginning, but now we have a very much a human in the loop kind of a mindset. What that means is let's use the operator to train the AI models. If we try to train them by ourselves and then get out there, then there's going to be challenges, which is where we have a huge advantage in having the steering wheel, running manual operations, collecting data, and then going out there. And for us, Monarch doesn't stop with the tractor. A number of you have come by to say, hey, are you guys still in vineyards? What's going on? We're actually expanding. Just so you know, right, is just last week, an auger company, none of you have augers here, but an auger company, right, one of the largest North American auger company, AGI, showed our technology working on their auger with our cameras, with our electrification system on a product at a farm show, and they're going to use that. It's going to be our app, it's going to be our cloud infrastructure, our battery, our electric motor running it. We're also about to announce very soon a UTV platform. A number of you do use UTVs for a variety of side-by-sides, ATVs, for a variety of applications. Our technology is continuing to grow. So our technology is not just limited to the next tractor that you buy, it's going to go into these 3 machines, right, and more. We're also now talking to light construction equipment. So some of you use compact track loaders or compact wheel loaders. So the same app, the same technology now is going to come to these machines. So definitely we are starting to grow and expand, but in different ways than what you would think of. But again, lastly, I'm closing this out, but lastly, I want to thank everybody here and the whole community in Napa and Sonoma for being huge advocates for us and continuing to support us, and we are doing the same. Our commitment has not wavered. We come out here, we repair our tractors, we get them out there, right? We honor our warranties, we're doing all of that, and we're continuing to make our tractor better. One thing that I can assure you is our tractor will be better next month than it is this month. That's because of our software mindset, and we're continuing to do that. So again, thanks a lot for all the support. Happy to catch us if you need any specific lessons, or I'll be around. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
We have questions.
Happy to take any questions. Yeah.
So today we've heard a lot about thinking about a new type of employee, if you will, and you highlighted that in terms of needing someone to be committed to keeping these tractors out, monitoring, and making it a large part of their day. That might be new for folks in the farming world. Can you give us some tips or some guidance on who we should be looking for, where we should be searching for people that might be interested in like a new type of career segment, ag tech or ag tech operations, something like that?
Yeah. No, that's a great question, right? And just let me clarify that comment is, number one, I think it's important to designate somebody in your team first, somebody that already knows your operations, has the goodwill, has the trust of the rest of the organization. So the last thing we want is to go out and hire some new person, because that's another barrier, right? We don't want to do that. But I think it's important to designate that person. Now let me answer your question of who should this person be. Again, this person should be the kind of forward-thinking person who's willing to try new things out, who should be valued and compensated based on technology adoption and success of technology adoption, not just getting your operation done on time for the lowest cost, right? So these are like success roles. And I bet you that if you look around your organization, you'll find them. I think they're already there, right? You can recognize them. Very often they might be in different roles. Very often they're in some of the lower roles than where some of the supervisors are, right? You just got to pull them out, give them a mandate, and say, hey, I want you to step into this new role and help make this thing happen. But again, our goal is also not to make you hire some computer scientists or some new people. But mindset is important, and them being mandated is important, and the rest of the organization knowing that the ownership has committed to this and this person is the champion for it is important. If you do those 3 and you track the numbers on a weekly, monthly basis, I think that'll be a big first step.
All right.
Any other questions?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.